For fair use and copyright, I'm not going to play a clip, but we're all aware of these red pill gurus, the Cobra Tates and Pearly Things, and these fresh and fit guys. And I'm on a journey to figure out what the hell is going on with marriage and families and divorce and all this stuff. And some of the advice these guys give, in my opinion, is very black pilled. They say women are this, that, and the other, all these bad things. So give up on marriage and family and have sex with as many women as possible. And I just don't think that's the way. I could be wrong about all this, but in this series, Daditude, with my great friend Jericho Green, we're going to delve into all this and figure it out. And I think in this very first show we recorded, I called it Dadsplaining. That's the name I wanted to go with. And I looked and found there was a podcast that called themselves that. So we did change it to Daditude before we published these. Enjoy Daditude. Welcome to Dadsplaining. This is the first episode of a new show with my great friend Jericho Green. I am Gabe Eltaeb. We're both husbands and fathers. I've been married 27 long, wonderful years, guys. Let me bring in my buddy, my good friend, the great Jericho Green. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be starting this. I'm glad to be the then what? You see shows like this and they tell you, well, get this kind of man and blah, blah, blah. Then what? What happens years down the road? What's the real inner workings? What are the guts of being in a relationship and building a life with somebody? And that's what we're going to tell you.
Right. So, yeah, both of us are husbands, fathers. We do come down more on the red pill conservative side of things, of course. But the problem that I'm seeing, this stuff is really trendy. It's going crazy. You know, you sit down for lunch, you're having your soup or your sandwich, and everyone does this. You watch your phone or your little iPad in the kitchen. Everyone's doing this. I don't know how good this habit is. And you get into the reels. Oh, my God, the dopamine hit, reel after reel after reel. And what is being fed to me by the algorithm a lot is Pearl, this woman who just criticizes women and feminists, and these fresh and fit guys and Cobra Tate and the whatever podcast, all of this stuff. And it's been irritating me. And I talked to you about this, Jericho. And because I'm like, yeah, they're diagnosing the problem. Relationships are broken. Dating is bad. Young people are just having meaningless sex and hooking up. And there's no family structure at all. And I think these people are false prophets. I think they're Pied Pipers. I think they may be grifters, just rip off artists. Because what these people keep saying in general, I will summarize it, is women are whores. Don't marry them. And the solution to women being whores is to screw as many women as you can. And I feel like that's just going to make things worse. Mm-hmm. You know, and then the other genius here, the guy on the left there, Myron, who you know was a nerd in the old days. He tells all the women on his show, oh, if you get a high value man, you're going to just have to deal with him cheating constantly. And again, that's not a solution to the societal problems we have. So, I mean, do you get these reels fed to you, Jericho, the same thing? And did you come to the same conclusion I did?
I do get these reels all the time, and I am guilty of those dopamine hits that you were talking about.
Right.
And I think this guy and his buddy.
Hold on. I'm watching reels. Sorry. I'll get back to you.
No, not right now.
Oh, damn.
Right now. We'll schedule an intervention later. Don't worry.
Okay.
But I think these guys, I mean, to be honest, they're not extremely good looking. So they were probably on the receiving end of a lot of these whores that they're talking about. They were probably friend zoned a lot. So now they are making money. Now they are, they do have some fame to them. So I think what they're telling, and what people often do, is tell their story, their version of life. I think we're all watching the same show. We have different seats, and they're just telling you what they're like now that they have money and all these women that they can choose. And there might even be a bit of a revenge angle to it for them.
You think?
But I think if you're banging all these chicks that are whores, you're just making more whores. And as a man, I know we got a lot of stones in our cart. We're protectors, we're providers, we build things, we make the world go round. I know, but there's one more stone we have to throw in there. We have to fix this. These whores that are out here, they're only whores. The only reason you have a whorehouse is because we visit it, right? So this is
I have
more
no idea what you're
responsibility.
talking about.
Oh, whore what? But this is just more
horror. I don't know
house.
this word.
It's a long story. We'll talk off the air.
Okay.
But
is that like naughty girls or something like that? Or?
As naughty as they get.
Oh,
like not just naughty language, but they do other dirty things with their mouths and any other entrance or exit points they may
like
have.
What, like say bad words and eat junk food, like that?
Well, that and then times that by 1 million. Oof. Like junk food is not the worst thing they put in their mouth. Okay. We'll put it that way. A lot more.
A vape then. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Mountain Dew.
No, another
Mountain Dew code red.
Code white. But it's just it's just more responsibility we're going to have to take on. We have broad shoulders. Keep your head down and do it, man.
That's right, broad shoulders. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's I don't know how else to say this. It sounds a little. I'm not trying to be sanctimonious, but it's an honor. It's an honor and a gift to be a father and a husband. I'm not perfect. Again, I've been married 27 years. I know I look young. I had children young. I'm Mexican. What can I say? That's how we roll. So, but yeah, I do think all this advice, this red pill and this constant tearing down of women, first of all, it doesn't reach women. Remember when women told us, Jericho, they told all of us men repeatedly, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. True. And I think this trashing of women, whether the problems that women have with whoring around and all this, can't make up their mind who they're going to date and all this women's prerogative that does drive men crazy. I think telling them in such an abusive way without any good, loving leadership is you're not going to win them over. They're going to dig their heels in and it's going to get worse. Have you ever tried to persuade a woman with being harsh? Has that ever worked for you in your life, Jericho?
Never. And I remember one time in particular, I was working at a radio station. We were going on what are called van hits, where you go to certain areas. We'll be posted up here for 2 hours. Come get your tickets, blah, blah, blah.
Come on down to the Fun Fest and get a free ticket at Chuck E. Cheese.
Hey, ladies in free before 11.
But there were some females in the radio station van. And that's when I had started listening to Michael Savage. So I had that on. And I remember one of the girls saying he yells too much. He's so mean. So the message was totally missing her because it wasn't delivered in a way that she was going to be receiving of it. So I think these guys and these gals, Pearl and those type of people, they have valid points. And what they're saying is good. They're just not giving you everything. They're not giving you all of the ingredients to bake this good life that we all want. But yeah, you definitely attract more bees with honey sometimes. And I think when they deliver the message that way, the whores that they're trying to reach aren't listening.
Right. Yeah. And again, think about this very, very slowly and think about the nuance here, guys, in the audience. Women tell you the code. They tell you how to hack their brain. They say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And then as a man, you get pissed off and go, well, it shouldn't matter how I say it. It matters what I say. Mm-hmm. Just listen to the woman. She just gave you the key. Say anything you want, but say it the way she wants to hear it. And then you can persuade her. Think about the reverse of what she's saying and then use it to your advantage. And I think it's so important for us to lead and to be fathers and to be husbands. Because one thing I don't like, and I don't know your opinion on this because I haven't asked you, but I get a lot of pushback from people on the channel, like fans of mine. I have relatives about that MGTOW movement. You've heard of this, the men going their own way. And the philosophy there is, it's a big online thing. And the philosophy there is women are trash, women are whores, abandon society. Never get married, never have a family, do your own thing, live for yourself and just make yourself happy and then just die one day when you're old. That's their philosophy in a nutshell. Some of them would disagree, but that's basically what I see them do in practice, the MGTOW guys, because they say it's hopeless. I don't think being hopeless is very becoming of a man. I think it's cowardly to be hopeless. Don't tell me something's hard. Tell me if it's impossible. If it's impossible, fine, we won't do it. But if it's not impossible and it's worth doing, I say we do it. And I think to just identify the problem about women whoring around and all this privileged goddess culture that the women have nowadays, and not addressing A, why it happens, and B, what we can do to solve it so everyone lives a better, happier life, I think that's selling people short. What do you think of all that?
I agree, man. I think that a man, we have tons of responsibility, and it's just another thing that we have to do, and we just have to do it. I think women are able to kind of have that more selfish, or I'm gonna, like Jada Pinkett's out right now on her book tour, and she's talking about, yeah, she's a piece of wake.
Oh, boy.
So she's talking about me and my time off, and I can get in touch with me and do my thing, and I don't have to check with anybody else. I want to do something. If I want to go somewhere, women are afforded that privilege to be that self-centered because we're out here taking care of everything else, so they can focus on themselves. You know, Will Smith is out there making millions of dollars. When's the last time Jada Pinkett had a movie? He's out there making millions of dollars so she can afford this super uber selfish me, like she's warming up to sing me. She can afford that. Yeah. She can afford that lifestyle because he's out there making it happen for her. So we can't abandon society. Nope. That's selfish. That's weak. You just got to turn around, get back into the fray, man. That's just the way it is. That's being a man. Sorry.
Right.
I know you were dealt this card and you were born, and these are, you know, this is the plumbing that you had.
I was assigned maleness at birth.
Actually, the doctor who I didn't pick that, but this is what we got. This is our role in life. We're built to do it, so let's do it. I know they should this and should that. And like you mentioned, man, talking to a woman, trying to get her, you know, giving her what she's telling you she wants. In the moment, like you said, well, it shouldn't matter how I say it. It's the message.
Right.
Even if you got to take a couple laps around the block and unclench your teeth, do that, and then come back and deliver the message in a way that she's going to be receptive.
Right.
And everything will be all right.
Right. Yeah. I think women are, you know, they're the fair sex, the weaker sex, right? So when you're harsh with them, even when you're correct, they're not going to hear it. Their brain is not built that way. It just isn't. They need to feel safe and loved and cared about. And really, as a father, you have to look at them and your children in the same light. Not that women are children. I'm not trying to infantilize them, but you do have to understand I am over all of them as far as protecting them, and I'm responsible for all of them. And I think when we see women with all this OnlyFans stuff and whoring around and all these horrible things that weak men want to complain about but not fix, I think it's very weak to just bitch and moan and not do something about it. That's what we want to do here on the show. We want to do something about it, and we want to speak from experience. We were talking before the show, Jericho, and you said that Pearl, Cobra Tate, all these guys, they're not Fresh and Fit, the whatever podcast, all these guys that are the hottest ones right now in this space, they're not speaking from experience. You know what I mean? You're not speaking from, I married a woman, I live in a house with her for decades, and I dedicate my time and money and effort, blood, sweat, and tears to her and the children's well-being. If you don't dedicate for years, you're not a father. You're not a husband. And if you don't do it, you don't have the experience. So we want to tell people how to do that and why they should do it. Because again, the problems with society and family and dating, and it is crumbling society. It is crumbling. And the only way to save it is this. We've got to get back to the old recipe that gave us the good society.
Yeah, that's true, man. They're and it's not their fault. They're all young. You know, I think Tate's definitely the older out of that group, but they're only equipped with a limited amount of tools because they've only lived to that point in life. They can tell you about getting into a relationship, but they can't tell you what it's like 15, 20 years down the road. They're limited in their advice. And, you know, we have their experience, then some. You know, they can't tell you then what? Okay, you found this high value man. And especially in that clip that you played, they act like only men who have a lot of money are able to have a stable of women and cheat on women and be with multiple. That's not the point.
We both know unemployed scumbag guys who sleep on a mattress on the floor, a mattress with no legs, who are banging all kinds of women, making promises they can't keep, borrowing their mama's car. I might be even related to a few of them. We all know these guys.
Yeah, you don't need to be a high value man and have a bunch of money to be able to pull that off. But again, they're limited in their advice. They only have a limited amount of arrows in their quill. And we have lived that, and that's a great thing. That's what society needs. More good people need to get married and do this and make a bunch of children. Running from that, dying alone with a bottle of Jergens and a bunch of stiff gym socks is not going to save this country. It's our responsibility. I know it's easier to do that. It's easier to be by yourself, but we're not in the business of easy. We're in the business of continuing a great country and a great society. So our kids have that. We owe them.
Elvis Presley and his crew. This is like later Elvis, like crazy heroin Elvis that did kung fu and wanted to work for the CIA. That Elvis. Oh, baby. Him and his crew, they had these rings and they said TCB on them. And that meant taking care of business. And I think for this channel, maybe, or for this show, maybe we should get some TCB rings or something like that. Like as men, you have to pay it forward. You have to keep the fire alive.
Yeah.
You cannot show up to a potluck with your appetite. Nope. You have to bring something. You know what I mean? We're given this great society, this great culture that gave us all this abundance through blood, sweat, and tears. It didn't fall out of the sky, all this food and technology and safety we have. And now it's our turn to do it because the older generation, they retire, they die. Now it's you. Then you get old, you retire, you die, and then it's your kids, and so on and so forth. And the only honorable thing to do is to keep it alive, perpetuate it, and grow it, and progress it. And the recipe for what we have that's so amazing, everything you out there, everything you love, the recipe for all that, whether you like it or not, is being family-oriented. All this atomization of society where everyone's an individual and just does whatever they want all day, that will absolutely bankrupt our society in every way, literally and figuratively. Everything will be gone. They'll come in like locusts and we'll just eat all of our own stuff and then we'll have nothing left.
Yep.
You know, imagine a future like that, dude. Imagine if, Jericho, what do you think? If things don't change, like think about 2003, that world. You were a young man. I believe you were probably in the Navy at that time. It's now 20 years later. I always tell people direction is more important than location. It doesn't matter where we are. It matters where we are compared to where we were. And then you can extrapolate in your head, well, where will we be? So do 2003 to 2023, 20 years. Think of the difference. I want you to tell me about this, Jericho. Where will we be in 2043, 20 years from now, if nothing changes? Where will we be?
we might not be.
Oh, God.
There will
I wanted
be...
you to say something funny, not something so terribly grim and true.
No, all I have is death and darkness to give. No, I mean, yeah, we'll still be here, but it'll be a diminished version. It would really suck because if you're following these people here who are just about, hey, if you can't fix it, leave it. I mean, just imagine that if all the men are running off to be by themselves, and not only as far as relationships and family, even though that is crucial to any successful society, but even, let's say, politically and socially, if we continue this way, it'll be a dystopia. It'll be idiocracy. It'll be Escape from LA. It will still be here. It will still be here, but it'll be a real shitty version of what we once were. And 20 years goes by like that. A lot happens, but it goes by pretty quick. So we need to be mindful of that. And when you have kids and you have a family, your view on the world in the future changes. You start to care about the future. Maybe you cared a little bit before. Well, you're going to care a lot now. And if you didn't care before, you will now, because you are leaving something to your children. What kind of world do you want to leave them with? A world with mostly good people? There'll always be bad. Or a world where the bad people and their ideas have taken hold. You don't want to, because you're not going to be here. Right. You're going to be gone. So you've got to give your children the best shot and the best society you can leave them in. It means now we got a TCB.
TCB, baby.
You got a TCB, man. Oh, thank you very much. Oh. Thank you for TCB.
What is that accent? I've never met anyone that actually spoke that way.
It's Elvis. You ever met a Cuban that talks
the Elvonian accent? Yes.
Yeah, the classic Elvonian. There's courses on it in university.
Southern Memphis, right? Southern Memphis.
Yeah, Oxford. They did a dissertation on it. I can't get into it right now. But have you ever in their halls with their monocle?
Oh yes, I'm done.
But have you ever heard a Cuban that talks like Tony Montana? Nah.
I have not heard that, my friend. I have not heard that. Mine is pretty terrible. It's no good, this accent I'm doing.
It's okay, man. I never heard that. So it's just the what do you call it? The Elvanian.
Well, yeah, there was the Elvonian accent, and this is the South Cuban Miami-Dade
Montoyan.
Montoyan, yes, Montoyan.
Not a lot of people can speak those dialects, so
right.
We're I think we're actually better than everybody because we do speak them.
Yeah, actually. But yeah, so I would say in general, we're going to expand on this a lot on this show. We're going to hammer you over the head with it over and over, young men out there who need this damn message. Yes, there are problems. Yes, Pearl, Cobra, Fresh and Fit, the whatever guy, they are right. They are right in general. What they're talking about is the problem here. I've seen this guy. He's a beauty here. I don't know who he is, but he pops up on a lot of clips. He's just like, oh, man, I'll just have as many women as I want, dude. He's one of those guys that like won't open his eyes when he talks. I don't know. He's very full of himself. It thinks he's God's gift to women. And he just
Perry squint.
Yeah, he basically tells all the women that he's a high-value man, so he's going to bang as many women as he wants. And, like, yes, we all want that. I'm a father. I've been married 27 years. My wife is well aware that I still find women sexy. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't have married her. Yeah. But I would say to these guys, why do you think a woman would sign up for that, though? You want women to follow your lead to help build the society. I think of society this way. We're warriors, men, right? We go out with our shield and our sword, and the wife is that thing that they had in the olden days called a shield maiden. You go out, you fight, maybe you get stabbed, all this stuff. You come back, she's got a hot meal, she bandages you, she patches up your shield and fixes it. She helps you sharpen your sword and all that, get the dents out of your armor, and tomorrow you're out there again. She does not go out and fight with you. Because she'll get killed, but she helps you. She's the other, and she's just as important. Without her, you're cooked. You're dead. You know what I mean? Because we're not supremacists against women here. I think men and women are exactly equal, but I think we're mirror images of each other. We're not the same thing at all. And I think that's by design. Obviously, I think that's God's design. So how do you feel about that? Do you agree that men and women are that yin and yang, that, the peanut butter and the jelly, as they say?
For sure. And that's what got us here. That's what got us to this place of excess and variety and choices and safety. That yin and yang, those men who would go out, those guys, the steel workers walking on those beams in the early 1930s, building these skyscrapers, building the Golden Gate Bridge, they went home to peace and support, a good meal. The kids were taken care of, and she's helping you. She's giving you that peace at home so you can focus on what you're doing out in the world. Yeah, women they're half of everything. If you got a good woman, you can do anything, but that's what you need women to be. And don't be an asshole. Like, just don't be like that guy. I'm gonna bang all these chicks. Why would you be like that, man? You don't need to do that. You don't need to be an asshole.
So yeah, I was 15 once too, bro. Like, I remember how that feels.
Yeah, man. Come on, don't do that shit. But
you said this, and expand on it for me, please. You said you suspect, and I'm pretty sure of it, that these guys were like nerds in the old days, and they got friend zoned and shut down. Didn't have any money. That's when I hear a guy talk like this, I hear this guy was 5'6", and the varsity football team's playing out on the field, and he's just like, curses, a stupid quarterback, it's getting all the cheerleaders, and now they make a little dough, and boy, is it revenge time for high school. That's what I think. I don't know what.
Yeah, these are like the bad cops that like that. They were given the swirlies and pushed in the locker, and now they have a badge and a gun and the authority of the state behind them. And that's the way they act. These guys are like that, I think. I mean, it's more of a manly thing. This is what you call toxic masculinity, what they're engaging in.
Right.
It's more, a good man is going to take those experiences, compartmentalize, and realize that all women didn't do this to me, and I'm still going to go out here and be a good man, despite those experiences that I had, being picked on or whatever. I'm going to take that on the chin. I'm going to turn it into a learning experience, and I'm going to keep moving forward. Sometimes you just got to take it. You just got to take it, keep it quiet, keep it moving.
Right. I'd take it a step further, too. You say not all women did this to them. I would say the majority of women that did them wrong because they allowed it. They invited it. Because people mostly, there are sociopaths who are just evil and cruel to any of us, but people mostly will treat you the way you tell them they're allowed to treat you. And this is a subconscious body language thing, action speaking louder than words. You tell people what your boundaries are. You do. And when you choose to be like a white knight, nice guy, of course women are going to use you. The great comedian, rest in peace, Patrice O'Neill, he talked about this, of being what he called for men, the equivalent of being a sexual whore, like women, the equivalent for men is being a time hoe, where you're giving women everything. You're giving them your time and your money and your attention, and you're getting nothing in return. And I think boys raised by single mothers in a feminized society, they think that's the way to a woman's heart, is to put them on a pedestal and treat them like a goddess. And then they get blown out into the friend zone, and then they can become a really bitter red pill guys.
Yeah.
You know, so thank God that I didn't have those problems with women. But I know I would say I think a majority of young men do nowadays, because it's a fatherless society. Do you think so? Do you think a majority of men are nice guys?
I hope not, because we need more not nice guys. And not being a nice guy doesn't mean you're a bad guy, but you're not a doormat. You know,
Right.
and especially as guys, you know that even a friend of yours, but you know the guys who are weaker, that you're gonna get away with stuff. You're gonna tease them more and stuff like that, just because that's how they present themselves. Your people are only gonna let you get away with what you let them get away with, and when you put your foot down, it'll stop. But I think these guys, they're on the revenge tour, and as you notice, that whatever guy, I'm not sure, I haven't looked, but these guys, the Fresh and Fits, the Pearls, and all these guys aren't married. They have no rings on their finger, so they can only go so far until they get that monkey off their back, that chip off their shoulder, and set down roots with somebody, with some woman.
Right. My thesis, I want to see if you agree with me here. My thesis for all of this, actually, if you look at the chart behind me, my thesis, the unified field theory here, is fathers. That is everything that's wrong here. When you see nice guys that let women walk all over them, when you see angry, passive-aggressive guys, video game, pornography, Mountain Dew addicted guys, when you see these useless men, these weak men that are actually just man children with their struggle beard and everything going on, I love that. My daughter taught me that term, a struggle beard. But it's because they don't have a father and a mother and that family structure growing up, so they have no sense of self. You know what I mean? They didn't get that hand on the shoulder from the dad and I'm proud of you, son. What that does for you is transformative, and every boy needs it. It's like a vital nutrient that you need in your soul and your spirit, is that male validation, so you don't go out into the world seeking validation the rest of your adult life, because what's grosser than that? Validation seeking people, right? It's so slimy, it's so transactional, and it's so transparent, when people are nice guys. And again, I think this all boils down to fathers, and that's the bone of contention I have with Pearl and Tate and Fresh and Fit and excuse me, and the whatever guys, is they won't talk about fatherhood and families. They won't talk, because they have no experience being those kind of things, so they think they can fix all this stuff without the main ingredient that's causing the problem.
Yeah, you can't do it. The fathers are the main ingredient. If you're baking something, you can't leave something out. You have to have everything in there. Fathers are everything. Right. And I'm so glad that my son, because my dad, he was present and he did all the things he was supposed to do, but he wasn't that, hey, son, let's go play catch in the front yard and talk about the day. That wasn't him. So I'm so glad that I'm like that with my son. I tell him I'm proud of him. I tell him he did a good job. And I show up for him. I'm there at all his practices. I used to be at his practices, but then we have the show.
Then he started playing badly, so you're like, I'm not.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not coming back. Not coming back till you're good. And but
can you imagine?
Hey, call me when you're good.
Hold on, I gotta sidetrack here. My kids both did. My kids are both adults now. Very awesome children I have. Successful, wonderful people. I feel proud that I raised them, but they did a lot of little league growing up. There was, daughter did some volleyball, field hockey, son played football forever, baseball, a little bit of basketball. And some of the little league sports parents are the worst people on earth.
Yeah,
the way they deal with their kids and the coaches. Have you seen this? I've seen people in the crowds yelling, "You're worthless over there, Timmy. You're worthless." And it's like, that's your blood. Why are you talking that way?
I haven't seen that, but I've seen some parents do some dumb stuff. But yeah, that's so hurtful. And you know what? Also some things I have seen is from the kids' point of view. I've had some of my kids' friends come over and say, I wish my parents did this. I wish my parents would act like that. I wish, and I'm just like, your heart hurts for them. Like, damn, kid, I'm so sorry that you know, and no parent is perfect, but you got to hit the basics, man. You got to hit the love and support, structure, nurturing. There's like 5 things you got to hit as a parent. So it hurts to know that there's kids out there who don't have their parents just doing the basics for them. You know what I mean? Like life is going to squat over them and take a ropey dump on top of their heads soon enough. As a kid, yes, you got to teach them lessons and you have to be stern with them sometimes, but try to make their childhood exactly that, a childhood, mostly fun. Like I tell my daughter, she's in 6th grade now, you know, girls are all catty or whatever. I said, if your friends aren't 100% fun, get rid of them. You're a child. You have no responsibilities other than homework. If they're not all fun all the time, get rid of them, because life, when you're an adult, it's not like that. So, yeah, man, it sucks that all kids don't have that.
That's one thing in my adult life that I've found recently is cutting people out of your life that are bad to you.
Yep.
And I think when you have some codependent tendencies, and codependency out there, guys, would be like you're getting your emotional well-being from someone else instead of internally and from God. You're getting it from your relationship with someone else, like you know, like a vampire, like a leech, like a parasite. And you have to watch that. I come from a family that got divorced. My parents divorced right after my 8th birthday. We left Colorado, where my mom and dad used to live, a week or 2 after I turned 8 years old and moved to San Diego from Colorado. So I had a little bit of codependency sometimes with friends growing up and stuff. And as an adult now, as a fully formed man, husband, father, I have zero problem flipping the switch on someone if I find that they're a poor character. If they mess with me, they mess with my wife or kids, boom, you're gone. You are out the picture.
Yep. That wound will be cauterized immediately. I will not give you another thought. And that's it. Because when you have a family, that's your core, man. That's your orbit, as they say. If you're not in that, and it doesn't matter, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, we have the same DNA. If you're not on board with what's going on with this core group that I have called my family, kick rocks. Do you want me to use my scissors to cut you out, or do you have some scissors you want me to use to cut you out of my life completely? Like taking pictures and cutting them out. It's because this is too important what I have going on here. I don't got time for any bullshit. Like my RDC in boot camp would say, Petty Officer Floyd, I'm tired of the bullshit. He would say that all the time. I don't have any room for that. Please, if you're not adding to this, I will gladly subtract you from this little equation I got going on.
Right. So I would say we probably do another 5 or 10 minutes here. We're closing in. We're trying to keep these short enough so you guys can watch them and stuff and enjoy them. But we really want you to, we're trying to keep these evergreen as well. You know what I mean? So you can watch them a year from now, 5 years from now, and it's still going to make sense. Sometimes we'll get very specific, maybe topical to something that happened just the other day. But we just try and keep this general information as we dad explain to you why having a wife and kids is the most beautiful gift you can have. It's the most wonderful thing God has given us on this earth, is being a father and husband. Jericho and I, neither of us have been perfect fathers or husbands, but as long as you're dedicated to it day in, day out for years, that's all they can ask of you. I would say this though, when you look at what these people propose, these red pill influencers, all women are whores, and the solution is to have sex with more of them and buy a Bugatti and make your racks on racks and money. When you see the vapid emptiness of that, like, because I can be on both sides. I've had no money. I was dirt poor when I got married. I worked at Toys R Us for $8 an hour. My wife was a waitress. Right. R.I.P. Toys R Us. My wife was a waitress for $2.12 an hour plus tips at Coco's.
Damn.
It's like a Denny's. That's what we were when we got married. We do very good now. I'll leave it at that. I live in San Diego, which is, as of this recording, it made a headline last week, the most expensive city in America. More than Manhattan, more than Honolulu, more than San Francisco, San Diego. Okay, so we do very good because we live here quite comfortably. But we started off at Toys R Us and Coco's. And through God's blessing, help from family, and lots of hard work and staying together, we have lives that we couldn't have dreamed of when we were just kids when we met. You understand? And all the Bugattis and banging 100 chicks, you know, a month because I'm a playboy now, and all the baubles of gold and jewels. None of it means anything. None of it would mean anything without the love of my wife and my kids. I'm telling you, it's the only fulfilling thing. I have an interesting theory that's a little insulting, but it's a cold splash of water in the face. Not insulting to you because you're with me on it, but insulting to probably some of the audience. But I think it's something they need to hear. You tell me if you agree. You think I'm full of beads. I don't think if you have kids that you're dedicated to, a wife and kids, I don't think you're an adult. And I'll tell you why. I work out a lot. I'm a weightlifter. You know that. We talk about it. And what is always the joke about weightlifting? Don't skip leg day, right? And you can see those guys with the toothpick legs because leg day is the hardest day. Can you grow your legs by working out your arms? No. Spiritual, mental muscles are the exact same way. There's different ones. Can you grow the selflessness and the discipline and the love and the charity and the mercy that having a wife and kids gives you? Can you grow those spiritual muscles without doing that leg day? You can't. So there's no replacement for it. Not being a dog mom or any bullshit like that. You're not, by the way, your dogs are not children, asshole. You're going to have those little toothpick legs spiritually if you don't have a wife and kids. Do you agree with me that people that don't have wives and kids, they're not really adults? I don't think they're fully adults.
No, and the Bugattis and all those things and the properties and the clothes and the jewels and all that, you imagine having that and building it with somebody that you can enjoy it with.
Right.
Sitting there with your wife, watching your kids play or watching them with their families coming over to the house. Like that's the real fulfillment. And I think that's what we're here for. I think that's what humans are for, to procreate and have families. And when you hear somebody say, no, I'm totally fine being single and not having kids all my life, I don't know if I believe that. I look at them like I look at people who wear neck braces. Did you really hurt yourself? Is this an insurance scam? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, are you really happy with no kids and no husband?
Serious with the neck brace.
Yeah, I know you're lying. I know as soon as you get around the corner, you're going to peel that shit off and hop in a convertible and take off. I know it.
Didn't the Lion of the Senate, Ted Kennedy, didn't he famously wear a neck brace to court after he had the unfortunate car accident with Martha Mox? Who was it? He crashed the car and
the lady he left at the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, and then when he went to court, he wore a neck brace. Like, oh, poor him.
Yeah,
you know, that's
like, come on, I don't believe it. Nobody with a hurt neck wears a neck brace.
Right. Well, you know somebody's doing just fine when they constantly tell you how just fine they're doing. I saw that Chelsea Handler, like, I'm 50, I don't have kids, I'm rich, and I'm totally happy. Why? Who's
I
asking?
can go where I want. If my friend says she wants to go to the Bahamas this weekend, let's go. Yeah, and when we're outside of your villa, we're going to hear because you're crying because you don't have anybody. All you got is dog hair on your luggage. That's nothing. And dog moms, I can't stand that shit. I've had dogs my whole life. Love them.
I love
some of my best childhood memories. Or shout out to Mr. Gene Parmesan.
That's
some
right.
of my best.
My dog. He hung out with you when you stayed at my house. That's right.
Hey man, we got deep. All right, that's all I can say. We got deep on some topics, but love them. Their dogs are part of the family.
Literally, man's best friend. Literally.
Yes. But if you're talking about the love and adoration I have for my children and it's things you can't even put into words, the feelings you have, that's half you. That's 50% of you walking around.
Right.
Compared to my dog, I would rub my dog on the head, give him a nice tight hug. And if they said, Jericho, either your dog has to go or your kids, I'll punt that dog over a cliff in a millisecond because they're my children.
Right.
If you don't know, you don't know.
They'd ask me, your dog has to, and I'd already have the dog punted like I'm on the Raiders or something, you know?
He's gone. Bro, are you kidding me? Oh.
You wouldn't get halfway through the sentence. You said something so amazing, and I think we'll end on this. I want you to expand it. I think is absolutely beautiful. You were saying the vapid, I mentioned the vapid emptiness that these influencers have of bang all the chicks you can, stack up racks on racks of dollars and get the Gucci and all this and the Bugatti and all this stuff. And I said, it's meaningless. But you said, can you imagine having all those nice things that you built with your wife? Now, going back to Toys R Us stock boy and waitress from Coco's my wife, now we do good, have a beautiful home and have nice things. And that Bugatti and all that stuff, the nice stuff we do have, it actually does have meaning. Because when I look at it, that's our blood, sweat, and tears and our dedication to each other and our lives. And I think the only way for material things to have any sort of meaning is that you built them together with your family instead of substituting them for a family. I thought that was an amazing point you brought up. Expand on it in any way that you can, please.
Yeah, it's you know, I couldn't imagine having all that, this huge house and everything, and then you turn around and close the door and there's nobody behind you.
Oof.
There's nobody to bounce that love off of. There's nobody to sit there and hold their hand and say, we did this. You were
Right.
there with me in the trenches. We were
Right.
eating ramen together.
Right.
Now I don't even buy that crap. It's imagine
Roman? We don't bring Roman in this house. What are you,
Roman?
Yeah.
Imagine acquiring those things and building these empires and just having yourself.
Yeah.
And you can double your love for this and your appreciation for that with another person. Plus, you built a family. You created other people. Do you know what it feels like to give your children what they need and what they want, and to be able to give them better than what you had?
It's
There are
amazing.
no words to describe it. It's the most wonderful feeling, and it's great being a husband and a father, and you will work harder at nothing in your life than you will at building a family. But the reward you get for it is everything. Sitting there watching my wife with my kids. Last night we were all watching Ghostbusters together.
Ooh.
And to see my wife like talking with, of course, because your kids take 28 pee breaks and they got to get water. So my daughter was up getting something, and my wife was just playing with my son on the couch, and he's laughing, that real genuine child happiness laughter. There's nothing, any void you might have in your soul, anything you didn't get from your childhood, it is filled and overflowing when you have children of your own and you give them happiness.
Right.
You just
Right.
got to do it, people. Do it.
Yeah, I think to put a little bit of a bow on that, I think family gives you the opportunity to do the one and only important thing we're here to do in our lives, is to love people. That's what it gives you the chance to do. Everything you do for them and earn for them and fight for them and guide them and be patient and counsel, it's all love. That's what you're doing. And there's nothing more important or more powerful in the universe to love them. And you will grow old and die one day, but the love that you plant into your children, they'll plant it in theirs, and so on and so forth. And we can't let this die. So I would say, on balance, I think Pearl and Fresh and Fit and all these guys, I think they're dummies. I think they identified a problem, but so what to identify what? We need to identify why. Okay, relationships are broken, women are whoring around, men are beta male, just simp nice guys. Great, everyone can see that. We don't need you to tell us that. What are you going to do about it? And when you sit there, this squinty-eyed guy here, well, I'm going to bang as many women as I can. Okay, well, I'm sorry high school was rough for you, bro. When that's your plan, enjoy the hell that you create in 20 years when society is gone full Mad Max. We're going to have a lot of fun on the show. Thank you for being here, Jericho. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about what it's like to be husbands and fathers, and we're going to solve this mess one episode at a time. With a couple mistakes like I just had. It's Dadsplaining with Gabe Eltaeb and the great Jericho Green. Any last message before we go, buddy?
If you guys want the answers, come back.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.